Hi there! In this video, we're going to go over intracellular signaling. And this is extremely important for our cells to be able to communicate with each other and to be able to react to different sort of environments. So, first, let's kind of get a basic idea of why we even need cell signaling. So we have this little lonely cell over here, and we'll give him a nice neighbor. So you're probably like, well, these cells right here, they're right next to each other. So if that cell has a message that they want to give to this cell over here, it doesn't seem like it'd be that complicated. Now there is a process for this, which we will talk about, but you're probably like, well, what if there was a cell all the way over here? You know, how would they get this message? How exactly do these cells that are not next to each other or near each other connect? And we're also going to talk about those processes. There are three basic kinds of communication that we're going to talk about. The first one being endocrine. Now I'm going to cover up part of this diagram so don't get ahead of ourselves. So the endocrine signaling is a long distance relationship. You know, you have cells like these right here, endocrine cells, who want to send a signal to cells, we'll say, over here. How do they do that? Well, they produce hormones right here, which then enter into the bloodstream. They then will find distant target cells. Now, these cells have these little blue things here called receptors, and all these cells have them, and these hormones connect with certain receptors for certain cells. That way, say a message that is for stomach cells doesn't get caught up by liver cells. It's like a communication, kind of like a code, a secret code that only certain cells can understand. Like I said, this is long distance, so some way to look at maybe analogy for this is, if anyone's ever seen Lord of the Rings, you'll know that Gondor lights the beacons, and that is a way of long distance communication back in, you know, the medieval time periods, was to light a beacon. Well, it's the same thing here. This is, we'll say, Gondor, and it is sending a message to Rohan right here. And this traveling through the blood vessel is lighting the beacon process. And their lookout, the man looking for the beacon, are these receptors right here, which then tells the cell what is happening, what needs to be done. So that is how cells communicate long distantly throughout your body, which obviously is very important for basic functioning. If you're have a reaction to something and your muscle cell needs to know it, it can communicate. So this is important for, especially for homeostasis, which, a little quick side note, is just your body maintaining its internal functions. So say when you sweat a lot, you get in the heat, which we are from Florida, or you get really, really cold. So that's really important for maintaining that homeostasis so your body can function, is being able to communicate long distance. Now another form of communication is the autocrine signaling, and this is for a signal to the cell itself. So say one cell releases out a message, which then its own receptors here take in, and then it performs whatever message that these hormones had. So, or the signal in general. So this is kind of like leaving a post-it note for yourself. You know, if you're going to class and you're like, hey, you know, don't forget to pack your certain book for your next class. It's you're giving a signal to yourself for you to do that action. Now there's also paracrine signaling, which is usually cell-to-cell communication, and it does the same thing where it releases a message to receptors on a cell right next to it. And this can be multiple cells. So there can be a cell here, there can be a cell here, it just goes to all of the cells around it. So you can kind of think of it as like it's spreading out. So like when you take a paper towel and a liquid, the liquid spreads out and all that distance. The same thing, this message is just going to release all the way around it. And another way to look at it is like sending out a giant group text message, which we all have received those and been very annoyed by them. But it's sending out a giant group mass message to all the cells around it saying, hey, like, we need to do this, this needs to get done. So we're going to do a quick review of the 3 types of cell signaling that we talked about. The first one, endocrine, the second one, autocrine, and the third one, paracrine. Now, endocrine, like I said, you can think of as those beacons. That is the long-distance communication in which the signals are sent through the bloodstream to another set of cells, which takes them in with the receptors, just like the lookout would see the lit beacon. Now you have the autocrine, which was the cell sending out a message to itself, kind of like a reminder like, hey, what's up, which is like you making a post-it note to yourself. We also have the paracrine one, which was like the group message. So you're sending out a message to all of the cells around you. So I hope that this video helps you understand these, and please enjoy the app. And there are plenty of other options like note cards and a test and a glog to help you hopefully get a better understanding of these concepts. Thanks for watching, and good luck on your test or exam.